I thought we were done at 135mm, but I'm glad Sirui decided to push further for 150mm of full anamorphic goodness. The 135 was kind of a disappointment, so they're addressing that issue with an alternative. This chunky boy is a T2.9 full frame 1.6 times anamorphic lens, and it'll give you results that pretty much nothing else will, simply because there are very few anamorphics that go this long. Staying true to the rest of the Venus set, this 150mm goes as fast as T2.9, which is not impressive at 35mm, but is quite a feat at 150mm. It is almost too shallow depth of field for what this focal length does. The lens features gears on both iris and focus rings, and focus comes down to 58 centimeters, or just under 2 feet. This is also an impressive number for both 150mm lenses and anamorphics. This strong close focus makes me think Sirui has switched over to a variable diopter focusing system here, since it's the best approach to combine anamorphics, long focal lengths, and short minimum focus. This change from the previous designs means we have a fair amount of lens breathing as the image scales up and down, but no change in the squeeze factor. The downside is focus throw is just short of 180 degrees, which doesn't come even close to the level of accuracy I'd like to see on the marks for such a long focal length. We have engravings in metric and imperial, but 3/4 of them are closer than 2 meters or 6 feet, and we have a tiny bit of travel between 5 meters and infinity, where a lot of the good stuff happens in longer focal lengths. Here's a situation I wouldn't mind getting almost full 360 degrees of focus throw. The front threads are 82 millimeters. The lens weighs just under 1400 grams or 3 pounds, and it's 18 centimeters or 7 inches long. To trace a comparison, Canon's classic heavyweight 70-200mm f2.8 IS2 zoom weighs 1500 grams or 3.3 pounds and is just shy of 20 centimeters or 8 inches. Thankfully, we have a 1/4 inch lens support under the lens. The sample copy I have here is an L mount, but you will find the same alternative mirrorless mounts as the rest of the set. Canon RF, Sony E, Nikon Z. I highly recommend turning on camera stabilization when working with such focal length, plus the big and heavy body. That is, unless you're using a tripod. And here, Panasonic gets an A mark because of anamorphic stabilization, but not an A+ because we don't have 1.6 times D-squeeze in camera. Fast-moving 150mm will look wobbly really quick, and will push the limits of acceptable rolling shutter. In fact, I'd recommend small and slow movements when using this lens. When it comes to performance, we see a little bit of struggling here wide open, and that could be for 2 reasons. Number 1, depth of field is too shallow. Number 2, I'm slightly off the mark because focus throw is so short. For best results, For the first time, I recommend stopping the lens down anywhere from half to a full stop. Not for performance sharpness sake, but for depth of field in general. Flares are blue and strong, but look quite special from sources at a distance. On the distortion front, even though this is a super long lens, we still see a tiny bit of pincushion when we get to the edges. The Sirui 150 will retail for $1,500 with a couple discount options for early adopters. If you ever wanted to go all Nat Geo wildlife photographer with anamorphic, this is the best tool in the market right now. Even though it has compromises when it comes to the short focus throw or lens breathing, there's nothing quite comparable in terms of cylindrical glass. The lens could be a touch more resistant to flares, and flares could be a little bit less saturated. I get that this plays into the consistency of the set, but I think the note applies to all of the Venus lenses. They could all be a little less flary and a little less saturated. What are your thoughts on this dense cylinder of glass and metal? I'd love to read it in the comments below. Is Sirui redeemed for their 135mm? What other focal lengths would you like to see added to the Venus lineup? Thank you so much for hanging out, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. See you on the next one. TELEPHOTO out.